live in paradise. She believes that where there is life, there is hope. She's an evangelist, a philanthropist, a singer-songwriter, and a playwright who has been helping individuals regain their self-esteem for years. Here to talk about her domestic violence advocacy, music, and her latest book release, Leaving My Pain, I am so happy to welcome mother of superstar Nicki Minaj, Maraj, to the Jenleeion Circle. First of all, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing quite well. I'm very excited to sit here to speak with you because one of the reasons why we wanted to chat with you is obviously a lot of your work is around domestic violence, right? I'm a survivor of domestic violence, familial domestic violence. My family lived that story. So everything that you wrote in Leaving My Pain, I understand that was very cathartic for you. It speaks directly to my story, and as I know it will to millions of people. So the first thing, before we talk about Leaving My Pain, the book itself, I want to ask you, what was the decision point for you to sit back and put your story out there? What made you decide to tell this story?
I realized that there were so many people who are going through abuse, and I wanted to let others know that it doesn't matter your status in life, that domestic violence is all over in any household, no matter what titles you're holding. So I wanted to really get it out there so people could know that I've been through it and I'm standing, and they also can do the same.
And I think one of the remarkable things is that in the midst of any domestic violence you experience, you also had to wear the hat of being a mother at the same time. That's a story that a lot of women out there are living right now, whether it's a single mother who's just gotten out of it or a person who's currently in it. You've been quoted as saying that rocky road, the rocky road of life has its purpose, right?
Yes.
How do you help individuals find that purpose when they have been so deeply scarred by something like domestic violence?
Well, first I speak to them about letting go and forgiving. We cannot go forward unless we release our pain and forgive whoever hurt us. So I speak to them about that. They got to find it within themselves to let go. Once they've let go, then they will be able to look at their individual lives and work on enhancing it, or on reaching reaching the stars that they long to. But it hardly happens with carrying pain and anger for the abuser.
That on the topic of forgiveness, I was one of those people, and I want your take on this. I was one of those people that falsely thought that forgiveness meant that I still had to have the person in my life or still had to deal with them. Is there a way what is the proper way to forgive someone but also still know it's okay? In my world, it was my father, right? I had to get to the point where I could forgive him, but I was okay not being connected with him. And I think that's where people get caught up. Does forgiveness always mean that someone still has to remain in your life, or is it okay to extricate yourself?
Well, we can forgive someone. Once we truly forgive someone, we can see them walk by and not get angry. So there's a level we have to reach. Therefore, if we truly forgive and empty ourselves of all the bitterness, the person can live next door. If we truly do that, but it's a process. But forgiveness doesn't mean that you have to keep that person around. You have your time when, as an individual, your hurt and your pain will be, will have no more effect, on that relationship. But everyone is different, takes a different time to heal, but you don't have to have someone in your life when you forgive them. You could let them go while you heal.
Another mistake I made is, with that, I was friends with when I was a teenager, I was abused. I was friends with my abuser for 8 years until I woke up and realized what was going on. So that's why that whole forgiveness thing was important to me. In 2013, Carol started the Maraj Foundation to help further her work for domestic violence advocacy. So first, why the foundation? And then secondarily, what is the crux of the foundation?
I started the foundation because I too am a victim of domestic violence, and I realized that many women were walking in my shoes, or I walked in the shoes of these women. I once visited a shelter, and after sitting down with these women and hearing their stories and then seeing their tears and their pain, I just wanted I knew I left there knowing I had to do something to help. That was when the Carol Maraj Foundation was birthed.
Wow. And what I do love is your work goes far beyond just women. It's also the effects of what families experience. So, that takes me to your experience with the YES program. Talk to me about what the effect of domestic violence, what it can have on the family as a whole.
Of course. When a child sees abuse in the home, it affects them. Sometimes they grow up to abuse themselves, or sometimes a girl or someone may just fall for the same type of person their mother fell for, because they grew up in it and they think it's a natural thing. So that's the effect it has on the children. They could either go according to what they lived.
Generational pass down, yeah.
Yeah, so because that's what they know. And so the YES program was for especially the youth expressions, because a lot of times young people sit around and they want to commit suicide, or they kind of share their pain. Youth expressions really bring out help, and I believe save lives as young people gather to just express themselves and to just have their voice be heard. It saves. This is a program that possibly saves lives.
Right. And I know that one of the things that saved your life in the midst of your adversity was the fact that you had a love and passion for being a mother, and you're quoted as saying that sustained you through that adversity, so to speak. How?
Well, because I had my 2 kids, I was able to have a cause to hold on, and that was my hope. My hope was my children, and they were my reason for going on and getting out of that.
Wow. So with that being said, you're in a situation where you've seen your daughter now become a mother, right?
Yes.
And you are a grandmother.
Yes.
A Papa Bear.
Of Papa Bear, yes.
Yes, so how is grandmotherhood?
It's great. This is my 3rd. I have 3 grandchildren prior to. So it's the same. It's just that it's different because it's a different baby, and there's a big gap there. Since my last grandchild, but I'm very excited because the newness of life is something new for me. Well, but it's not really new, but it's new in Papa Bear.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic. Well, Carol, some of the disturbing statistics when it comes to domestic violence jump out at me. And some of those facts are that, it's stated that 20 people per minute experience domestic violence in this country, which equates to about 10 million men and women annually. 1 in 4 women experience severe violence or sexual domestic issues. 1 in 7 women are injured by an intimate partner. And 1 in 10 women are even raped by an intimate partner. So the work that you are doing, it speaks directly to that. Hearing those sort of statistics, where does that leave you emotionally? It floored me and made me want to get deeper involved. Where does that leave you?
That's exactly what's happening, what happened to me. It's something as serious as a heart attack, they say.
Yes.
We cannot even, we may not be able to save everyone, but we must continue in our pursuit to eradicate or as much as we can domestic violence. We must teach, we must educate ourselves because it's an epidemic to me.
Yeah, it definitely is an epidemic, and it's unfortunate that it's something that's grown completely. I think, switching to a slightly more positive piece of it, I think coming through all of those years of adversity and still being able to wake up and have faith. Your faith is really big to you, right?
Yes, it is.
What part did your faith play in getting you through the adversity you experienced? I think people really need to know that.
Well, I couldn't do it without the Lord in my life. Whenever I was down and or dismayed, I will turn to the Word. The scriptures did it for me. It was a measure of counseling, but in my lonely time, in my time away from counselors, it was the Lord.
When it's just Carol.
When it's just Carol, it's the
Yeah.
Lord. I read my scriptures, I strengthened myself. I started believing that I was much more because God called me for greatness. And I just drowned myself in the Word. And I kept my feet up, knowing that there will be an end to such suffering and pain. And it would not be in death, it will be while we are here on earth.
I love that. I love that because it's one of the things I say to myself sometimes is I want to experience milk and honey here. I just want to go to the other side and experience it.
Absolutely.
You want to experience it here. And that faith was so vibrant. I think any child deserves to feel the sense of belonging, that they belong to someone. Or more importantly, a child deserves to feel like someone believes in them. Your faith was so strong that you knew hands down the possibilities that would exist for your daughter. And I bring that up because you're quoted as saying that God was going to complete it at a point when she was hopeful for going to the next level in her artistry. How important do you think, in the midst of those sorts of adversities, how important do you think a parent believing in someone is critical to bringing a child to the next level?
It's very important. Children have so many talents and dreams, but it's dependent on the support, the growth, and that talent coming to reality is dependent on their support, the parental support, and the support of people around them. I believe many children stopped dreaming, or dreams died, because the parent did not encourage or show love or understanding towards what they were dreaming about. Sometimes if they put down what a child wants to develop, the child can just become stagnant and give up. So it's very important. The support is very important.
Yeah, and with that comes to me the idea of, like I said, a lot of your work, you spend time helping others regain their self-esteem if they've lost it, or more importantly, if they've never had it, to get that self-esteem. But if I may be so bold, I would say that, you know, your children were your first attack at that, of, you know, making sure that they had sustained self-esteem despite the turbulence that was around you guys. Is that fair to say?
It's fair to say. It's fair to say. My children never see me crumble, and I've had quite a few adversities in my life.
Yes.
And they cannot one time say they saw their mother crumbled and said, I can't. I've never used I can't. I always say, it's going to work out.
Can you say that again? I have never used
I have never
I can't.
used I can't.
Wow.
When my children were growing up, they'd never heard I can't. And they have seen many adversities. We went through a lot. But because of what they saw in me, they could not move on in their lives differently. They must stand up to adversities. There's always the light at the end of the tunnel. The glass is always half full to me. And I don't care who come up against me, because I know one with the Lord is a majority.
Yeah.
I keep standing and I keep going.
And synonymous with that is something else you said, is that no matter how long the night, finish that phrase for me. No matter how long the night might be,
the joy will come in the morning.
Yes, absolutely. And you've also gone to music. I have a question about the music, but one thing I found intriguing is that you were writing plays, with plays being in you know, New York churches and on stages, you know, far before, you know, your daughter jumped into Hollywood, with her acting in some of them. So when did you discover that you had the ability to write stories? And was that a coping skill for you?
When I joined the church, when I came to America and I joined the church, I was very interested in the youth. You know, what they're doing, and you know, we always had youth groups, we call it, and they always have something performing, you know, in the churches, a concert or something. But writing was always, that was just a writer. And it just developed more as I came to America, because I wrote the first play that in church that Nicki acted in. It was It Is Well With My Soul.
Yes.
And she acted in that, where her brother was in the army and they were waiting for him to come home, and the plane went down. But nevertheless, he did not get on the plane they were expecting. So while they were crying and sad in the house and moping, the door knocked and he walked in. So I called it It Is Well With My Soul. And she was about 13 when she acted in that. And then I did My Sister's Keeper, showing that doesn't matter what a person goes through in the church, you know, we must pay attention to them and help wherever we can. This was a young lady who was so burdened with everything that was happening around her. She walked away from the church, and we had to go to the house and encourage and pray. So that was My Sister's Keeper I wrote. And so I was always, you know, you ask me when did it just was flowing. It was just something spiritual. Writing is just in me.
So it was inherent, but it's something you always did, or did you find it to be a coping skill?
No, I always did. I was always writing a short story here and there since I was in school.
Wow, that's excellent. And so then to your music, as I prefaced earlier, whether we're talking about tracks like What Makes You, or I Am Free, or Endless, right? What is the story behind I Am Free?
I am free. Someone is in church and something happened. The spirit, she's touched, you know, and she is speaking about an experience that, you know, she's speaking about this experience, spiritual experience that she said, it's like something she never experienced before. A new something happened. A new dimension happened for this woman.
And it's so deep, and that's the crux of the lyrics. What could this be? I can't control the surge of joy that floods my soul.
Floods my soul.
Yes.
It's like she's, I can only say that people who don't know the Lord, and one day they in church singing and clapping, but there's one time when they put a little something more in it. And that's how the Spirit connects, because you put
like
a little
something went
something
past me. Ooh,
something
who was that?
happened.
Yes.
What could it be? I can't explain. The surge of joy that floods my soul. Heavenly singing, angels wooing. I knew my Lord had set me free.
Yes.
So it's like that's what happened. It's not that I didn't see that. That's something that came. That's just I just wrote that.
Wow. Does it piggyback off of your own spiritual experience, though? The first time you experienced the Holy Spirit?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's definitely, you don't explain it, but it's just a joy. And that joy comes when you understand that you have to let go of it. Whatsoever you're carrying, whatsoever you're using self to do, to achieve, is a joy comes to you. Like the Holy Spirit is telling you, I am going to take you through this. And so that's just a joy to know that he has your back.
Yeah.
And you're not gonna, you don't have to push that hard. It's gonna be taken care of.
Yeah.
So what could this be? But when I first felt that feeling, I knew that you can say that's my experience. One day you just grow to something that you don't even understand.
Yeah, it's I think poetically you say, in a baby's laugh and a mother's cry, there are miracles all around us every day of our lives, and that's how we know God's alive, when we feel His joy. I think that's great. Now, earlier I preambled leaving my pain, and I want to close coming back to that again, because again that speaks to the heart of who you are and being able to touch lives. So leaving my pain, obviously not giving away too much, but theoretically, I know that there can be 3 top theoretical points that if you had 5 seconds to tell a person to get out of something, get over something, or let go of something, what are those 3 things that leaving my pain would offer?
Leaving my pain, it's gonna give you a peace. It's gonna help you to understand that someone else has gone through exactly what you are going through, or worse. Because the stories there, they were purposely placed there out of many of my experiences to assist others and to bring others out of it. So it's going to give you peace.
Yes, peace.
It's going to give you strength to go on. And it's going to give you a feeling of an understanding that you are not alone.
Wow. Peace, strength, and knowing that you are not alone. And we know that during the global pandemic that domestic violence rates have increased astronomically, with people being stuck at home with one another. And so with that being said, I know that your heart has increased even more during this pandemic.
Yes, it is.
Yes. So know that abuse and domestic violence is never okay. If you or someone you know is suffering with domestic violence and wants to get help, please call 1-800-799-SAFE. That's 1-800-799-7233, where someone is standing by to help you. Carol, how can we get involved with your nonprofit?
The Carol Maraj Foundation.
Yes.
CarolMarajFoundation.com, or have a phone number, 516-670-6764.
All right, well, sounds good. Well, I personally look forward to getting involved. Like I said, we we could talk for hours about some of the things that I've gone through and how there are absolute parallels in my family to what you've experienced. You've spoken directly to me, and I know you have for the hearts of the Jenleeion Circle audience. So again, I want to thank you for being so bold, so brave, so honest, and so open with me today. God bless you, Carol.
God bless you, and you're most welcome.
Thank you. I'm Mario Bonds, everybody. See you next time.
Does anyone still believe in paradise?